The silent hall. The wind was cold and dry as it passed over the ancient ruins. Gray towers rose from the ground like broken teeth. Shadows stretched long and sharp across the dead stone. Cale walked alone. His boots crunched softly on the cracked ground. Each step echoed in the hollow air. He had traveled far to reach this place. Beyond the charts. Beyond the borders of known human space. This was the lost world of the Veari. One of the oldest races in the galaxy. Older than human history. Older than many stars still burning in the sky. But now the world was silent. No ships. No voices. Only ruins sleeping under pale sunlight. Cale kept walking. His breath misted in the cold. Dust swirled around his legs like weak ghosts. He carried nothing but a small pack. A water flask. And a single old ring on his finger. It was dull and scratched. Yet somehow it seemed to shine softly in the strange light. The path ended at a massive stone gate. The gate was carved with alien runes glowing faintly blue. They pulsed like slow heartbeats, as if something ancient was still alive inside. Cale stopped. He could feel the weight of the place pressing on him, like the air itself was watching, judging. He placed his hand on the stone. The runes glowed brighter. The giant door shifted. Dust rained down as it slowly opened. A deep groan echoed across the empty land. Inside was darkness, cold and endless. Cale stepped forward. The doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. The hall was huge, bigger than any building Cale had ever seen. Black pillars rose into shadows above. Blue lights floated like small stars in the air. Strange symbols ran across the walls. They moved slowly, like living rivers of light. His footsteps echoed softly. The sound seemed too loud, like the hall itself did not want him there. Then he saw her. At the far end of the hall, sitting on a throne of dark stone, was an alien woman. Older than mountains. Her skin was pale silver. Her face lined like cracked glass. Long strands of white hair hung over her thin shoulders. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the shadows. She did not move. She only watched. Cale stopped walking. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the quiet hum of the glowing walls filled the air. At last the old alien spoke. Her voice was soft, dry as wind over sand. "You are human." Cale nodded slowly. "Yes." The alien's glowing eyes lowered to his hand. To the ring. Her lips parted slightly. Her voice cracked. "Where did you get that?" Cale looked at the ring on his finger. It looked so small, so simple. Yet the hall seemed to breathe faster. The glowing symbols flared brighter around them. "I found it," he said quietly. "On a forgotten world." The elder's eyes widened. She leaned forward on her throne. "Impossible," she whispered. "That ring should not exist." The air grew heavy. The floor trembled softly beneath their feet. The floating lights dimmed like frightened stars. Cale took another slow step forward. "I came here to return it," he said. The elder rose from her throne. Her thin frame shook. She walked closer with slow, sharp steps. Her silver eyes never leaving the ring. "You know what you carry?" she asked. Her voice trembled. Cale shook his head. "No." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "That ring is from the time of fire." She stopped just a few steps from him, when the stars themselves screamed, and my people almost died. She reached out a trembling hand. Her long fingers hovered near the ring but did not touch it. Her eyes were wet with something like fear, or maybe sorrow. She breathed slowly. "You should not be here." Cale looked her in the eyes. "I had to come," he said. The elder's silver eyes flickered like broken moons. Then she whispered words that chilled the air around them. "If what you say is true, then you are already part of our fate." Far above, the black ceiling groaned. Dust fell like gray snow. The glowing runes pulsed faster, as if the whole hall was waking up. Cale stood very still. The ancient elder stared at him in silence, and the small dull ring on his finger glimmered faintly, like the first spark before a fire. The question. The silence was sharp. It pressed on Cale's ears like cold water. The elder stood only a few steps away. Her glowing eyes locked on the ring. Around them, the vast black hall seemed to breathe. The blue lights drifted slowly. The glowing runes pulsed like a deep heartbeat. Cale did not move. He could feel the weight of her gaze. Heavy as stone. Sharp as ice. The elder drew in a long, thin breath. Then she raised her hand. Her silver fingers flicked gently through the air. Instantly, the floating lights froze. The walls stopped glowing. The sound of the air stopped. Everything became still. Dead still. As if time itself was holding its breath. Now, she whispered. No one listens. Her voice echoed softly across the black floor. She turned and walked back to the throne, each step slow. Her long silver robes dragging across the cracked stone. She sat again. Her thin hands resting like bones on her knees. Her silver eyes stared at him. But now there was something else in them. A shadow of fear. Human, she said. Do you even know the name of what you carry? Kale shook his head. No. The elder's voice grew sharp. Then why do you wear it? Kale lowered his eyes to the small dull ring. It looked harmless. Worn. I found it, he said slowly. On a dead moon. Inside a broken pod. The elder's fingers twitched. Her silver lips tightened. Her voice trembled like cracking stone. No one should have found that place. Kale looked up. Then tell me, he said quietly. What is it? The elder leaned forward. Her eyes flashed. The last bond. The words rang through the silent hall. Even the dead air seemed to shiver. Kale frowned. What does that mean? Her face grew hard. It means you were the final chain that once tied our kind to the fire of the stars. It means you carry the memory of war. Of burning worlds. Of screams older than your son. Her voice dropped low. Once long ago that ring chose kings. Kale's heart beat faster. I'm no king, he said. Exactly, she whispered. That is why I fear you. She stood slowly, her robes falling like shadows around her. She stepped down from the throne, her silver eyes never blinking. You said you came to return it, she said. Do you know what returning it means? Kale shook his head. No. Her voice was like ice cracking. It means giving yourself to it. It means becoming part of its story. Its war. Kale stayed quiet. Her words sank into the cold air. The hall felt heavier, darker. The elder stopped only a breath away from him. Her glowing eyes searched his face like knives. You are human, she whispered. Your kind should not even be able to hold it. Yet it chose you. Kale swallowed hard. He could feel the ring warm slightly on his skin, as if it hurt her. I didn't ask for it, he said. That does not matter, she replied sharply. It never asks. Then, without warning, the hall trembled. A sharp crack echoed above them. Dust rained from the ceiling. The blue lights blinked like frightened eyes. The elder snapped her head up. Her silver hair whipped like pale fire. They felt it, she whispered. They know it woke. Kale frowned. Who? She turned her glowing eyes back to him. The Watchers. Her voice carried a deep tremor of fear. They will come. Kale's grip tightened around his pack. Then tell me what to do, he said firmly. The elder stared for a long moment. Then she slowly nodded. First, you must survive. Her thin hands rose. She traced a shape in the air. A ripple of silver light burst from her fingers. It spread through the hall like water. The runes flared alive again. The floating lights rushed toward the ceiling. The giant black doors groaned and opened a crack. Go, she said. Hide. I will send word when it is safe. Kale stood still. I can't just run. The elder's voice became sharp. If you stay, you will die. If they take the ring from you, this world will burn again. Kale looked at the small dull circle of metal. It felt heavier than all the stone around him. Then he nodded. Slowly. The elder's voice softened. Run, human. Run while you still can. Kale turned. His boots echoed across the silent hall. The great doors opened wider as he neared. Cold light poured in like water. The elder stood still behind him, her silver eyes burning like dying stars. Her whisper followed him out into the dead air. Do not let it speak to you. Then the doors slammed shut, and Kale was alone again under the broken sky. The ring on his finger pulsed softly, like a quiet heartbeat that was not his. The hunt begins. The sky above the ruins was the color of ash. Cold winds howled through broken towers. Sharp black stones lay scattered like the bones of dead giants. Kale moved quickly, his boots crunching over the cracked ground. He did not look back. The massive doors of the silent hall were now closed behind him. They stood like two black mountains, still and lifeless. But Kale could still feel the elder's eyes on him, like a shadow pressed against his spine. He clutched his small pack tighter. His other hand rubbed the dull ring on his finger. It was warm now, too warm, like a living thing. Far ahead, the ruins stretched like a dead city. Crumbled walls, collapsed bridges, silent streets coated with gray dust. Cale slowed his pace. His heart beat fast. He looked around carefully. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then, faintly, he heard it. A distant hum. Like metal grinding far away. Growing louder. Closer. Cale froze. He held his breath. The wind stopped. The air felt heavy. Then the sound came again, sharper this time. Like claws on glass. Cale ducked behind a broken pillar. He peered out slowly, eyes scanning the ruins. At first he saw nothing. Then something moved. Far down the broken street. Something tall, thin, moving silently through the dust. It shimmered faintly, like heat over hot metal. Then it vanished. Cale's chest tightened. The elder's voice whispered in his mind. The Watchers, they will come. He swallowed hard. They were already here. He moved quickly now, darting from shadow to shadow. Each step silent, each breath slow. The gray light above grew dimmer. Clouds thickened. Shadows stretched long like claws. Cale reached the edge of a fallen bridge. It hung over a deep crack in the earth. Far below, black mist swirled like boiling ink. He stopped to catch his breath. Then he heard it. The hum again. Closer. Louder. Cale turned sharply. A Watcher stood only 20 steps away. It was tall, taller than any human. Its body thin like sharpened metal bones. Its skin dark silver. Its head smooth and faceless. Only a single glowing eye burned in its center. Cold white light. It made no sound. It only stood there, staring at him. Cale's heart hammered. The air around it shimmered. Then it stepped forward. Silent. Fast. Cale ran. His boots pounded over the cracked bridge. Stone broke under his feet. The Watcher moved behind him like a shadow. No sound. Only the hum growing louder. Cale leaped across a gap. Rolled on the broken stone. Came back to his feet and ran again. Dust filled his lungs. Cold air burned his throat. The ring on his finger grew hot. Painful. It pulsed hard like a heart about to burst. He ducked into a narrow passage between fallen walls. Shadows swallowed him. He pressed his back to the cold stone. Breathing fast. Silence. Then, the hum passed outside. Slow. Searching. Cale stayed still as stone. Not breathing. The white glow slid across the cracks in the wall. Then faded away. The Watcher moved on. Silent as death. Cale waited. 1 second. 2. 10. Then he slipped out the other side. Moving fast and low. Heart still hammering. He reached a half-buried tunnel. Dark and narrow. He crawled inside. Cold dirt scraped his hands. Shadows wrapped around him. Far above, the hum rose again. Louder this time. He could hear more than one now. 2, maybe 3. They were calling to each other. Cale crawled deeper into the tunnel. It sloped down like a throat. Cold wind breathed from below. He reached a small chamber. Collapsed and full of broken metal bones. Ancient Vayari machines. Long dead. He sat in the dark, trying to calm his breath. Then, in the black silence, the ring spoke. It was not a voice, not sound. It was a thought. A flash of words that were not his. Run is useless. Cale froze. His eyes wide in the dark. The voice came again. Sharp. Cold. Inside his skull. Fight. Burn them. You are mine. Cale grabbed his hand. Tried to pull the ring off. It did not move. It burned like hot iron. Stop, he whispered. His voice shaking. Stop talking. The ring pulsed. Hard. Faster. You are mine, it whispered again. Above the tunnel. The hums grew louder. Closer. Stone cracked. Dust rained from the ceiling. The Watchers had found him. Cale stood fast. His hands shaking. His mind racing. The ring burned bright on his finger. A thin line of red light glowed across it. Faint. Alive. Cale clenched his teeth. No, he whispered. I am not yours. Then the ceiling cracked. Light poured in. And the Watchers came. The awakening. The tunnel shook like the bones of a dying beast. Dust rained down in gray streams. The hum of the Watchers grew sharp and cold, like knives sliding across glass. Cale pressed his back to the wall, his chest heaving, his hands trembling. Above, stone cracked. A white glow burned through the ceiling, blinding, cold. Then the roof broke open, and they came. 3 Watchers dropped into the chamber. They landed without sound, their long silver limbs folding like blades. Each had a single glowing white eye burning in its faceless head. They stood in a perfect triangle around him. Tall, silent, unmoving. Cale's heart thundered. The air turned sharp and thin. The ring on his finger burned like fire. The watchers tilted their heads. All at once, perfect and slow. Like machines, the hum rose higher. It cut into Cale's skull, sharp and painful. Cale staggered back. "Stay away," he whispered. They did not answer. They stepped closer. In perfect silence, the white glow from their eyes washed over him, cold and hollow, like being drowned in ice. Cale's breath came fast. The walls seemed to close in. The ring burned hotter, pulsing hard against his skin. Then, a sharp crack inside his skull, and he heard it. Stand. The word was not sound. It was inside him, cold and hard like iron. Stand. Fight. Burn. Cale shook his head. "No, I can't." "You are mine," the voice whispered. "They are shadows. You are fire." Cale's knees shook. His eyes blurred. Pain ran through his arm like lightning. The ring glowed red now, bright, alive. The watchers stepped closer, their cold white light filling the chamber. "Stand," the voice roared inside him. And Cale stood. He did not remember standing, but his legs were steady now. His fear was still there, but behind it burned something new, something sharp, something old. His right hand rose. The ring glowed like molten metal. Thin red lines spread from it, crawling across his arm like fire veins. The watchers stopped moving. Their hum faltered. They tilted their heads again. Slow. Curious. Cale breathed deep. The air tasted like sparks. His vision sharpened. The shadows brightened. The voice whispered low. "Burn them." The first watcher lunged. A flash of silver. Faster than sight. Cale's body moved on its own. His arms swept forward. A burst of red light exploded from the ring. It hit the watcher like a storm. The creature screamed, not sound, but a vibration that cracked stone. Its body burst into white shards of light, then vanished. Cale staggered, his breath sharp, his heart slamming. The other two watchers froze. The hum turned into a low hiss, cold and sharp. Cale stared at the ring in horror. What are you?" he whispered. The voice answered, "I am the bond. You are my flame." The second watcher darted forward. Cale spun. Red light roared from his hand. It hit the creature's chest. It shattered into silver dust. Gone. The last watcher stepped back. It tilted its head slowly. Its hum became a strange low note, almost like fear. Cale's vision blurred. The fire inside him shook. His legs wobbled. His body screamed in pain. The ring pulsed harder, brighter. "One more," the voice whispered. The last watcher turned and leapt for the hole in the ceiling. It flew like a silver arrow into the gray sky. Gone. Cale dropped to his knees. The fire inside him died. The red glow faded. Darkness returned. His breath came in ragged gasps. Sweat ran down his face. The ring cooled. Silent again. Cale stared at it. Looked dull. Harmless. Like before. But he knew better now. It had saved him. But it had also used him. The chamber around him was cracked and blackened. Stone melted. Dust still drifting through the air. The ancient machines were gone, burned to ash. Cale pushed himself up slowly, his muscles trembling, his mind spinning. He had killed them. He had survived. But the voice was still inside him. Silent now. Waiting. Cale climbed out of the tunnel. The sky was dark. Cold winds tore across the ruins. No watchers in sight. No sound at all. Only the hollow world. Silent and broken. Cale stared at the horizon. His jaw tight. His heart heavy. The elder had warned him. Do not let it speak to you. But it already had. And he had listened. Far away. A faint hum echoed across the ruins. Not close. Not far. But coming. Cale clenched his fist. The dull ring glimmered faintly. Like a sleeping ember. He whispered into the empty wind. I won't be your weapon. The ring stayed silent. But he could feel it. Listening. And somewhere deep inside. It smiled. The return to the elder. The ruins were silent. Even the wind had stopped. The sky hung low and gray like a dying fire. Cale stood on the broken edge of a shattered tower. Dust clung to his boots. Blood dried on his sleeve. His breath was slow. But his eyes stayed sharp. The watchers were gone, for now. Only cracked stone and hollow streets lay between him and the black mountains of the silent hall. He had nowhere else to go. Only one being left who might understand this cursed ring. The elder. Cale began walking. Step by step through the dead city. Each sound echoed like a drumbeat in the empty air. His body ached. Muscles burned. But the ring felt heavier than all his pain. Sometimes it pulsed gently, like a slow heartbeat. Other times it was cold and still, sleeping, waiting. Cale tried not to look at it, but his eyes always drifted back. Small, dull. But inside it, he could feel something awake, watching him. As he passed under the shadow of a fallen bridge, a whisper ran through his skull, soft and cold. You saved yourself. Because of me. Cale gritted his teeth. Because you made me kill, he whispered. Because I made you survive, it replied. That is all that matters. Cale shook his head. I won't be your weapon. The ring stayed silent, but he could feel it listening. Silent and patient. The black mountains grew taller. The path became narrow. Sharp rocks sliced the cold wind. At last, Cale stood again before the great black doors of the silent hall. They towered above him like cliffs. The carvings glowed faint blue, pulsing like distant thunder. He stood still, heart pounding. Memories of the elder's glowing silver eyes burned in his mind. Then he stepped forward. He placed his hand on the cold stone. The runes flared bright. The ground trembled, and the doors opened with a slow, deep roar. Inside, the vast hall waited, black and cold as before. Pillars rose into shadow. Floating lights drifted like tired stars. At the far end, on the dark throne, the elder sat, still as stone, silver skin glowing faintly, her long white hair flowing like smoke around her, her eyes bright and sharp, already watching him. Cale walked slowly forward, his footsteps echoing across the black floor. You returned, she said, her voice soft and cold, like wind over frozen glass. Cale stopped a few steps away from her. They found me, he said quietly. The Watchers. Her silver eyes flickered. And yet, you are alive. Cale raised his hand. The dull ring glimmered faintly. They came for this, he said. They almost killed me. The elder leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. Almost, she whispered. Cale nodded slowly. I fought them. Her voice sharpened. How? Cale's voice shook. I don't know. It awoke. It used me. The elder stood. Her long robes slid like water down the steps. She circled him slowly, her eyes never leaving the ring. You burned them, she said. Not a question. A cold fact. Cale lowered his eyes. Yes. The elder stopped in front of him, her face hard and shadowed. Then it has chosen you fully. Cale shook his head. I didn't want this. Her voice became sharp. No one does. She stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Do you know why it chose you? Cale frowned. No. The elder's glowing eyes burned like silver fire. Because you were empty. You carried no history. No chain of blood or throne. She paused. You were free. Cale stared at her. Then it wants to fill me, he whispered. Yes, she said softly. It will pour its fire into you, until you are nothing but its voice. Cale's hands clenched. I won't let it. The elder's voice cracked like old stone. You will try, but no one ever has. She turned away, her white hair drifting in the cold air. There is only one way to stop it, she said, to take it to the heart. Cale's brow tightened. The heart. The elder nodded slowly. The core of this world, where it was born, and where it can die. She looked back at him, her silver eyes sharp. It is a long path, through the black depths, through what remains of my people's memory. Cale stood silent. The vast hall hummed faintly around them. A cold wind stirred the blue lights. The elder's voice softened. If you fail, the Watchers will take it, and the fire will rise again. Cale took a deep breath, his heart steady now, his eyes firm. Then show me the way, he said. The elder stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Slow and heavy, she raised her thin silver hands. The runes on the walls flared alive. The black floor cracked open. A glowing path of blue light rose from the stone. It led into the darkness below the hall. The elder's voice echoed softly. Follow the path. Do not stray. Do not answer if it speaks. Cale looked down at the glowing path, then back at the elder. She looked older now, tired, but her silver eyes still burned. Cale stepped onto the path. The stone glowed under his boots. Cold light rose around him. The elder's final words followed him as he descended. Run until the end, or burn with it. The black floor closed above him, and Cale walked down alone into the deep dark. The ring pulsed softly on his finger. like the breath of a sleeping dragon, waiting to wake. The black depths. The world above vanished behind stone and silence. The glowing path carried Cale down deeper and deeper, into a darkness older than memory. The walls were smooth black rock, shining faint blue from the runes that floated near his feet. Each step echoed like thunder in a faraway cave. There was no wind, no sound of life. Only the slow beat of his heart, and the cold pulse of the ring. At first he tried not to look at it, but it was hard to ignore. It pulsed gently on his finger, like it was breathing. Sometimes it grew warm, then cold again, as if it remembered something that he could not see. Cale clenched his hand. "I am not yours," he whispered. The ring said nothing, but he could feel it listening, as if it waited for him to break. The path sloped lower, then opened into a vast cavern. Cale stopped. His breath caught. It was like standing inside the chest of a dead god. Black stone stretched in every direction, carved into colossal shapes like broken ribs. Faint blue mist floated above the floor. Towers of obsidian rose from the shadows like teeth, twisted and cracked. In the center of the cavern, a black lake shimmered without sound. Its surface was perfectly still, like a mirror made from frozen night. Cale stepped forward carefully. His boots clicked on smooth rock. The sound vanished instantly into the dark. As he walked, faint shapes began to move in the mist. He stopped. Cold tightened his spine. At first he thought they were ghosts. Then he saw their forms more clearly. Tall, thin figures, with silver skin and hollow eyes. Their faces were blank and cracked, like statues that had once been alive. They stood in silent rows, on both sides of the path. They didn't move. They didn't breathe. But he could feel their attention, like cold fingers brushing his mind. One of them twitched. Cale froze. Its head turned slowly as he passed, empty eyes following him. Another turned. Then another. Cale's heartbeat hammered. He forced himself to walk straight, slow, silent. Do not run, he told himself. Do not look back. When he reached the edge of the black lake, the ring began to hum. Oh, it, like a voice speaking from inside his bones. Cale knelt near the still water. His reflection looked wrong. His eyes glimmered faint red in the black surface. The ring's glow burned faint around his hand, like a dying star. Then the lake moved, not rippled, moved. The whole surface rose slightly, like something below it was breathing. Cale stepped back quickly. His hand went to his blade. The lake whispered. It was not a sound. It was inside him. 1,000 broken voices speaking as one. We remember you. Cale's breath stopped. We remember your shape. Your blood. Your fire. Cale shook his head. You don't know me, he whispered. We made you, the voices hissed. We wore your shape before you had a name. The ring burned hot against his skin. Pain shot through his arm. Cale gritted his teeth. Stop, he said. The voices only grew louder. We were the first. We walked when stars were cold. We made the fire. We carried it. We buried it. We are buried still. Suddenly the mist rose from the lake. It formed shapes, figures. Cale saw visions. He saw the elders people long ago, silver-skinned and bright-eyed, marching across burning worlds. He saw black ships cut through dying stars. He saw cities made from glass and fire. And he saw the ring. Not one but many. 1,000 rings glowing like suns. On the hands of tall warriors. They burned everything. They became fire. They became war. And then, they vanished. The fire devoured them. Cale stumbled back. The vision shattered. The cavern was still again. Only his own ragged breathing broke the silence. He stared at the ring, now cold and dull on his finger. No, he whispered. I won't become this. The black lake whispered softly. You already are. Cale turned away sharply. I will end you, he said. I will take you to the heart, and burn you there. The voices laughed softly, like cracking stone. Then run, little fire, they whispered. Run while you still have feet. The glowing path flared again on the far side of the lake, leading down deeper into the stone. Cale forced his feet to move. He walked across the narrow bridge of black rock, never looking down at the whispering water below. Every step echoed like a drumbeat. Every shadow seemed to move. But he did not stop. He did not look back. The path wound down into a new tunnel, narrow and jagged. The air grew warmer. The stone glowed faint red far ahead, like the inside of a dying sun. The ring stayed silent, but Cale could feel its pulse, growing faster. Something ahead was calling it, something old, Something alive. Kale's jaw tightened. Let it call, he said softly. I'll answer with fire. And he walked on. Down. Deeper. Toward the heart. The heart's gate. The tunnel narrowed until Kale had to lower his head to pass. Sharp black stones scraped his shoulders as he walked. The air grew hotter with every step. Dry and heavy like the breath of some giant sleeping deep below. His boots clicked on smooth rock. The echoes came back slower, as if the world itself was listening. For a long time Kale said nothing. He saved his breath. Even thoughts felt heavy here. But the ring whispered softly. Too soft for words. Just a faint sound, like someone humming far away. It beat with his heart. Slow, steady, patient. He did not speak to it. He did not trust his voice. At last the tunnel opened. Kale stopped at the edge. His eyes wide. Before him stretched a vast circular chamber, larger than any hall above. Its walls glowed faint red, marked with ancient black runes that twisted like crawling shadows. Great chains hung from the ceiling, thick as trees, stretching down into a giant black door at the center of the floor. The door was made of stone and metal, fused together like cooled lava. It was shaped like a circle, but its surface pulsed gently, like something alive beneath it. A deep, dull thud echoed from it, slow and heavy, like the heartbeat of a buried god. Kale had reached the heart's gate. The ring grew hot, so hot that Kale hissed and clenched his hand. The air around him trembled. Red light flickered across the walls like lightning behind smoke. The runes on the walls came alive. One by one, they lit up, like watching eyes. A voice rumbled from the gate. It was not sound. It was pressure, like the weight of the earth speaking. Bearer, the voice said, you have come. Kale steadied his breath. I came to end you, he said. The chamber trembled faintly, as if it were laughing. End us. You carry us. I carry your cage, Kale said. I will burn it here. The gate pulsed. The chains rattled once. A low groan like steel bending under mountains. We are not your enemy, the voice whispered. We are your source. No, Kale said. I am human. You are the ash of something dead. We were the fire, the voice said. You are only the spark. Kale's eyes burned. Memories not his own flickered across his mind. Armies of silver-skinned giants marching. Black suns burning out. 1,000 worlds turning to glass. And humans, tiny, fragile, standing like shadows before storms. Yet they survived. Kale dropped to one knee. The visions passed. He wiped blood from his nose with the back of his hand. I know what you are, he said quietly. You are fear. The gate went silent. Even the ring went still. Kale stood. He stepped closer. He placed his palm on the cold surface of the gate. I will not carry you, he whispered. I will bury you. The ring screamed. A flash of white light exploded from his hand. The entire chamber shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling like black snow. The chains whipped and groaned. The gate cracked. A thin red line of light ran across its surface. It hissed and glowed brighter. Hot air blasted out like the breath of a furnace. Kale stumbled back, shielding his face. The ring burned like molten metal. He cried out, ripping at it with his other hand, but it would not come off. The voice roared through the chamber. You cannot destroy us. We are in your blood. We are your fire. Kale gritted his teeth. I will use you, he growled. Then I will end you. The ring flared white. The crack in the gate split wider. Blinding light poured out. Something inside was waking. A deep, slow heartbeat shook the chamber. Dust leapt from the floor with every pulse. The chains snapped tight, then loosened again like the muscles of a sleeping giant. Kale backed away slowly. His blade was in his hand now, the edge glowing faint red from the heat in the air. The light from the crack began to form shapes. They twisted like shadows on fire, tall, shifting, faceless. Eyes like suns blinked open in the glow. The voice whispered softly now, like a parent speaking to a child. Come to us, little spark. Let us burn together. Kale's heart hammered. His grip tightened on his blade. No, he said. I burn alone. The crack burst open. A shockwave slammed through the chamber. Kale flew backward, smashing into the wall. Stone shattered around him. Dust filled his lungs. Through the roaring light, he saw the gate split wide, and something stepped out. It was tall, human shape, but wrong. Its body was made of molten shadow and fire, and its eyes were the same white light as the ring. It looked at him. Kale stood slowly, painfully. The ring burned brighter than ever, like a star about to explode. The creature smiled without a mouth. "We are the first flame," it whispered, "and you are our last." Kale raised his blade. "I am not your last," he said. "I am your end." And he charged. The first flame. The chamber burned with white fire. Dust and shattered stone whirled through the air like sparks from a dying star. Kale stood with his blade raised, breath ragged, eyes locked on the creature of light that had stepped from the broken heart's gate. It moved like smoke and lightning. Every motion left trails of fire in the air. His shape was almost human. A tall figure of molten shadow wrapped in pure white flame, but its body did not stay still. It shifted, flickering between forms, like it was made of every shape it had ever worn. Its eyes, if they were eyes, were bright as newborn suns. They burned through him. Kale gripped his sword tighter. His skin blistered from the heat, but he did not look away. "I am not yours," he said. The creature tilted its head. Its voice came from everywhere, 1,000 echoes whispering through the stone. "You are fire," it said. "You are us." "I am human," Kale answered. "I choose what I burn." The creature's flames rippled like laughter. "You carry our ring. You walk with our light. You came to the heart because we called you. There is no choice." Kale stepped forward. His boots hissed on the hot stone. "I came to end you," he said. The first flame moved. It crossed the distance in a blink. One moment far away, the next towering over him like a burning mountain. Kale swung. The blade cut through white fire, and met nothing. The air exploded. Kale was thrown backward across the floor. He rolled, gasping, his sword glowing red from the heat. The creature stood still, untouched. "You cannot cut fire," it whispered. Kale spat blood. "Then I'll burn hotter." The ring pulsed. Art. Kale felt it sinking into his bones. White fire surged up his arm. He screamed as the heat flooded his chest. Visions crashed into his mind. Silver giants in burning armor. Rings blazing on their hands like tiny stars. Suns dying behind them. Galaxies burning. They had once been like this creature. They had been the first flame. And it had devoured them. Kale dropped to his knees, clutching his head. "No," he gasped. "I am not you." The voice hissed inside him. "You are the last spark. Let us burn again." Kale slammed his fist on the floor. The stone cracked. "I am not your spark," he roared. "I am the one who ends this." He forced the fire outward. The white flames wrapped around him. But instead of consuming him, they bent. For the first time, the first flame stepped back. Kale rose slowly. White fire now danced over his shoulders, flowing like a cloak. His eyes blazed gold. His sword burned with clean, bright light. The ring glowed like a tiny star. But Kale's hand was steady. "This is not your fire anymore," he said. "This is mine." The first flame screamed. The chamber shook. The walls cracked. Chains snapped and fell like dead serpents. "We are the first," it roared. "We will not end." Kale charged. They collided like two suns crashing together. Fire exploded across the chamber. The shockwave tore through stone. Flame clawed the air like living beasts. Light drowned everything. Kale's blade met the creature's burning arms. Each strike split the air with thunder. Each step cracked the floor beneath them. The first flame struck like a storm. Kale moved like a man who had nothing left to lose. Blow after blow. The creature faltered. Its light flickered. Its voice cracked. Kale's fire grew brighter, not from rage, but from will. From the memory of all who had carried the spark before him. From the humans who had stood small and fragile, yet never stopped walking through the dark. He was not the first flame. He was what came after. He was the reason fire still lived. With a final cry, Kale drove his sword through the creature's chest. Light tore from it in silent waves. The creature froze. Its blazing eyes dimmed. Its fire folded inward, collapsing into the blade. For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then the creature whispered, very softly, "We remember why we began." And it broke. White fire shattered into a million tiny sparks. They floated upward like falling stars, then faded into nothing. Kale dropped to his knees. The sword clanged on stone. The ring was cold now, cracked down the middle. Its light was gone. The heart's gate crumbled behind him, falling inward into darkness. The tremors stopped. The world was still. Kale lay back on the warm stone. He closed his eyes. He was only a man again, just a man, who carried fire, and set it down. When he rose at last, There was no voice in his head. No heat on his skin. Only silence. Kale turned and began the long climb back to the surface. The black halls swallowed him again. But they were only halls now. They did not whisper. Behind him, the heart was gone. And the first flame was only ash.